Hey guys, how's it going and welcome back. Well, I thought I did a review of my iMac, but apparently after checking my channel, I never have. I've had this computer since 2015. It's a 27-inch late 2013 model. It's 3.2 gigahertz, comes stock with 8 gigs of RAM and 1 terabyte hard drive. So, as far as specs go, if you go about this Mac, I'm currently running Mac OS Mojave, which is the most current version, 10.14.3. On the screen it says 27-inch late 2013. Processor is 3.2 gigahertz Intel Core i5. Now this is also a quad-core Mac. It's not a dual-core, it's a quad-core. 16 gigs of RAM is what I presently have installed. And it has the NVIDIA GeForce 755M 1 gigabyte NVIDIA video card. So anyways, so I've had this thing now for a little over 3 years, and I gotta tell you, it can do just about anything I can throw at it. I haven't found anything that actually really slugs this thing down yet. I have been known to be a gamer. I do play video games on this thing. I have actually run the Windows 10 operating system via Boot Camp on here before, and no bogging whatsoever, even playing video games. One of my favorite video games is actually Need for Speed Undercover, and another one is actually Far Cry, the original Far Cry, not 2 or 3, but the original. And even at full-out graphics, absolutely no lag running on the Windows environment side, which is actually quite surprising because for a lot of years Apple has been using the Boot Camp program. Prior to that, we had another way of running Windows on the Mac, but Boot Camp is a lot better solution because you are literally running two computers in one. So you install Boot Camp, put on Windows 10, and then you go to your Mac OS to the startup area, and you tell it to restart into Windows. So now you're running a pure Windows operating system, and you can swap back from there back into the Mac OS at any time. And so there's no slowdown, no lag outs, which is really, really good. As far as, you know, programs and all that jazz go, I don't have a lot reinstalled. I recently had to reinstall my Mac OS because it just needed it. I was getting some issues. Macs are not impenetrable anymore. Back when we had iOS 9, these things couldn't be hacked or virused. And ever since OS 10 came out, of course, and the Unix core-based system in it, it's kind of like we got a terminal window, which is like Windows PCs getting back to the C prompt, which you can still do in Windows 10. Makes the system very vulnerable to being hacked and virused, which kind of really sucks. So Apple kind of really screwed up there. But on the other side of the fence, it did make life a lot better for being able to run Intel processors in the computers now, and still being able to outperform any PC on the market. I have an 8-core laptop that can just keep up to this thing. You know, even playing the same video game side by side, which I do have a video of doing the laptop that I have with this, playing the same video game, and you know, it just keeps up to my iMac. So, you know, it takes an 8-core processor to just keep up, and that's in a video game. So doing stuff like Photoshop and whatnot, you know, Macintosh computers have always been for graphic arts, movie, animation type work, etc. And that's always been their strongest key point, you know, and they've always outperformed PCs by 2 to 3 times faster or more. And they still do, and they still always will, you know, which is fine. Using the Macintosh operating system, if you're used to working with an iPad or an iPhone, there's really not that much difference between them. And even when it comes to installing and deinstalling programs on the Mac, there are very few programs that actually run an installer to put pieces of that program elsewhere. Otherwise, about 99% of all your software is nothing more than an icon where everything lives inside it. So if you wanted to get inside a program, for example, let's just go into here. Now, you got a game like Motorbike, right? So if you go show package contents, gets into here, all the stuff for this program lives in here, okay? Everything. So if you want to delete the program, it's as simple as just taking the icon and sending it to the trash. The game is gone, okay? Same with anything else that you want to get rid of type of deal, you know, it works the same way. So anyways, as far as surfing goes, now I live out in the country, so we only have access to what's called a Rogers Rocket Hub for internet or satellite internet. And satellite internet is extremely slow, so we have the Rocket Hub. And even the Rocket Hub, even though it's fairly quick, the closer you are to a tower, the faster the Rocket Hub gets for the internet. And just before we moved out into the country, we were living in North Bay in the city, and we were 1,000 feet from the nearest tower, literally that close. So cell phone service was awesome where it sucks out here, but also the internet for the Rocket Hub was so amazingly fast. I was able to upload a 630 megabyte file in a matter of a couple of minutes, as opposed to it could take a couple hours maybe out here in the country uploading the same size of file. Might even take, 40 minutes or so, depending on how stable our connection is. However, smaller files like 200 megabyte and under, they can be done in like less than 20 minutes, which is fine. Mainline surfing, if you want to go to something like Google, for example, just click on Google. Now this is Safari. Safari is a pretty quick program. It's not as fast, I find, as Google Chrome. I actually find Chrome a lot quicker. You go to a website like Banggood, that's about how fast you can expect it out here in the country. And now my wireless router or internet system is actually in the other room by our door window to the door to the house. So it's as close proximity to a window for line of sight, because that's how internet services seem to work wirelessly. But even still, we have both of our iPhones as well as my wife's tablet, 2 laptops, plus her desktop, all feeding off that. And of course my wireless laser printer that's hooked up in here, and we have a wireless inkjet printer that all feed through that modem all at the same time. I think this is pretty quick. I have no complaints really. The only complaint I get is whenever we just lose out on service completely, but very rare does that ever happen. I'm not going to bother going to any of the YouTube links, but let's go to Gear Best. So it loads pretty quick, for surfing wise. Now I'm not even going to bother playing any video games. There's really no point to it. Well, what we can do is, let's fire up a game just for giggles. Let's fire up Motorbike. Now this is a game I like to play. It's actually a lot of fun. Now this is not a very graphic intense video game in total, okay, but it does have some pretty sweet graphics to it. Oh, I killed him. Anyways, you get the idea. So anyways, after having the system for 3 years, I do my YouTube channel with this. So I've actually shot videos on this computer via QuickTime, which is very simple and easy. Let's get rid of that. Now the camera in here is 720p. I do not use the built-in microphone for the computer because I don't like it. I actually run everything through my sound system which goes into a USB box that's underneath my computer that puts everything from 16-bit into 24-bit audio into, actually 24-bit HD audio into my computer. So this is a program that I'll use a lot of times doing videos in this room. Otherwise, I do actually use a Sony camcorder, which has got amazing picture quality and awesome sound too. And of course, night illumination, so it actually brightens up your night scenes a lot and a lot less grain. But you know, even just further into a little bit more surfing here. This is Home Depot. Now I'm running in the Safari browser right now because I haven't run any of these favorites in Safari. So these are like fresh nails. Nothing's pre-cached or anything. This way you can get a fair example of, you know, how things are going. I've got like a bazillion favorites in Google Chrome, and I've gone through all of them, so there'd be no point in showing you a pre-cached file through it. Even, well, let's try Guitar Builder. I'm not sure if this site is actually still active or not. No, it is actually still active. I wonder if he's still got, yeah, he's got the fret bender still. Blue 3 Tools. Oh, looks like his website is back up and running. That's pretty awesome, because I need this particular tool. I'm going to be going shopping soon. Anyways, so as you can see, I mean, it is pretty quick. Like if you go back to this same file again, where'd it go? There it is. So once it's been pre-cached in there, it's like instant. You know, boom, 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 boom. You know, it's that quick and easy. So, anyhow, picture quality, really good. Color palette available, just outstanding. Getting through settings in your Imac, simple as just clicking on the system settings thing down below. Of course, you got desktop screensaver, mission control, mouse, keyboard, energy saver, sound. In here you can see Steinberg UR22MK2, that's my USB box that actually runs all my audio processing through, no matter what's plugged into my mixing board. You know, but getting back into this again, you've got network, software update, one-click access there, or you can go straight to the App Store if you want. I don't like the new App Store that much. Well, at first I really hated it because I'm like, where's all my stuff that I can just go click, click, click and re-download into my computer after a reload? Then I finally figured out how to do it, which actually isn't that hard. So any of you who are actually wondering about that, I think I'm signed in. So you got Discover, you got Create, Work, Play, Develop Categories, and Updates. Okay, so if we go to Updates, no updates for my computer or programs. Now, if we go into Store, you go View My Account, and these are all the programs that I currently have downloaded before, and a lot of them still haven't been re-downloaded yet. And actually, VideoPad Editor is a great program, by the way, for processing your videos. The only problem is when I had Sierra on here, which was the last OS before Mojave, VideoPad Editor worked great, no problems, even with the updates, it's still compliant. Once Mojave came out, I did the Mojave as an overlay over top, so it uses as an update. And my VideoPad Editor program was actually still working, although a few times it came up with compatibility issue, and that's why things were a little on the sluggy side. So anyway, once I started getting a few bugs happening, and I'm like, okay, whatever. So I just reformatted the hard drive naked, reloaded Mojave as a full-fledged OS. It will not even permit me to download VideoPad Editor. So until VideoPad Editor becomes Mojave compliant, you can't use the VideoPad Editor program anymore, which has forced me to actually learn to use iMovie. And now I'm starting to learn to use iMovie. It's like, well, screw VideoPad Editor. What do I need it for now? I'm learning iMovie, not by choice, but, you know, because it was a program that, until I figured things out with it, it was very difficult for me as a learning curve for that program. It just wasn't that easy. But being forced and thrown into it, it's like a choice. Do I upload videos to YouTube or do I not? You know, or do I just go and do them on my Windows laptop? And I really didn't feel like doing that either. But, you know, I had to do a few of them until I figured out iMovie. Now I got it mostly figured out. I'm cool with it, so no big deal. But anyways, overall, I mean, the computer just, it goes and goes and goes. I mean, it's a Mac product. It's very hard to kill these things, and iMacs are so much wonderful nowadays the way they're made in the last several years than the way they used to be. If you remember the bubble iMac, fish tank iMacs, they had Bondi Blue and the strawberry and the lime and the grape. They were cool iMacs, right? They really were. I'd love to get my hands on one that's in cherry condition just to run OS 9 on it, and I've got actually about 40,000 programs literally that I could run on that thing. But until I can find one, you know, oh well. But in the meantime, I love my iMac, my new version, 2013. And it's still running after all these years, you know, for the last 3 years that I've owned it. And I did buy it brand spanking new too. I bought it brand new. I have an unboxing video on my channel about the Apple iMac. I think it's called Apple iMac Unboxing. You can check it out and you'll know what I paid for it and all that jazz, right? And you know, Macs retain their value really well too, which is another benefit to owning a Macintosh over a PC. You buy a Windows PC, you know, I mean, within 6 months it's literally obsolete and worthless, you know, whereas an iMac, I bought this for a little over $2,000 and it's still worth over $1,000 used, and that's stock. And I'm not stock, I've got more RAM than factory. And 16 gigs of RAM, by the way, I highly recommend if you were going to run Mac OS High Sierra or Mojave. Minimum of 16 gigs of RAM, okay? Minimum. Because the Mojave will slug you down a bit if you have less than 16 gigs. So, but if you have 16 gigs, you're full bore and you're fine. Eventually I'm going to max out the RAM in this, and eventually I'd also like to upgrade the hard drive to a solid state drive. Because they are really super fast drives, so I'd really like to upgrade it to one of those down the road. It's very tricky to get inside one of these things, but I've watched enough videos that I feel pretty confident that I can crack this thing open without any damage. Anyways, we'll see what happens when I need to do it, because I'm not going to do it till I absolutely need to. Now, I also run programs on here like my Boss Tone Studio for my GT1000 processor, my Voice Live 3 by TC Helicon, as well as Boss Tone Studio for my Boss Katana amp. Run all those programs for my guitar gear through here too. So, you know, there's not much that this thing cannot do, you know. So even if you get a chance to find a used one that's a late 2013 iMac, snag it if it's in great shape. Now the keyboard I'm using is an Acer keyboard. It's like a USB version of something. I don't know. It's not Bluetooth. I know that. But the original keyboard that I had with it died recently, which kind of cheesed me off because I was just starting to get used to it again. Because my Canex keyboard that I bought with the extended number pad, it puked on me. So then I bought another keyboard. It didn't really like this thing much. Do not buy a $25 keyboard from Best Buy for your iMac because it's not going to stay stable. But I got this one off my wife because it's off one of her old computers that she used to have, and it still works fine, and I haven't had any real issues with it, so, you know, no big deal. But eventually I want to get a real Apple keyboard again. Cha-ching baby when you buy a real Apple one. But Apple does have a nice extended number pad on the side keyboard that I really like, so I am going to actually eventually fork out the money and buy one. You know, just because third-party keyboards, they're just not as nice and friendly for navigating the buttons. Because on a PC keyboard, and all the PC keyboards will work, as long as they're like USB or Bluetooth. You have to actually hit the Windows key, which is actually your command key, so command So Windows Q would quit, Windows C, Windows V for copy paste. Once you get used to that, you're okay, but I'd rather actually see the real Apple keys on there myself, as well as access to my volume control, which I don't have on this keyboard. I did on my cant keyboard, as well as my real Apple keyboard. So for now I've had to move the sound icon up here and change my volume this way. I kind of a little bit lazy that way. I want to do it the other way, but I'm back to using the original mouse that came with my keyboard, just because I'm out of USB ports on the back, and I've still not found a decent powered USB hub that actually works right. That's a challenge in itself. And even for running the same ones on PCs, I'm having problems, so don't buy cheap USB hubs that are powered, because they're generally crap. At least that's what we've been running into a lot, so we're going to actually start investing in some actually expensive ones that actually do work right. But anyhow, all in all, I give the iMac an easy 4.5 out of 5. It isn't perfect, that's for sure. You will need to upgrade the RAM to 16 gigs. That's going to be kind of like a mandatory thing you would have to do if you expect to run Mojave without any slugginess. High Sierra, no problem on 8 gigs, even way better on 16 gigs, but Mojave definitely needs 16 gigs of RAM in your computer or more. Now this thing apparently maxes out to 32 gigs of RAM, which is more than sufficient. I may eventually max out the RAM too. It's not a big deal to do it for 16 gig chips and 4 8 gig chips, sorry. 4 8 gig chips and away you go. Rock and roll, maxed out RAM. Video card is not upgradable, of course, because this is an iMac. So it's not that it's completely proprietary, but it's somewhat where the video is concerned. Hard drive you can upgrade, external hard drives. I have an external terabyte hard drive on this, as well as the Apple SuperDrive CD burner, because of course iMacs and I think pretty much every Apple computer now no longer comes with a CD-ROM, even in their laptops anymore. So you got to buy an external one, no big deal, $100, away you go. Anyway. So that's where I'm at with this thing. I think it is definitely worth the money, and if you want a large screen platform, 27 inches in front of your face is a lot, but it really isn't in a way. I would love to have like 50, 80, 180 inch screen on a computer, but you know, they only make the iMacs as big as 27 inch. Either way, still a great computer regardless. They could use more USB ports on this thing. An additional 4 ports would be absolutely perfect, and then you'd never need a hub, right? And that leaves room to add on even more hard drives externally and so on, and you know, and doing it in the inexpensive side. Otherwise, get a RAID drive, and you know, sky's the limit, right? So that's what I got for you. Hope you enjoyed the video and the review on this thing. Like I said, if you want to buy one, go ahead and buy one. There are newer iMac 27s out there. I would not personally go below a 27-inch screen, just because anything below 27 inch is actually too small nowadays. But I guess it's your budget too. You can get like the Retina 5K and all that other for iMacs, and there's some really nice higher end iMacs. Once this one dies on me, I am going to replace it with another 27-inch iMac with the most current processor on the market, because I want even more speed, because I want to do other things too. But I have no problem either running multiple programs all at the same time. I actually have my internet browser going. I've been doing uploading and downloading at the same time, as well as processing another video. Well, that's doing that in the background. I can go work on, you know, setting up my Katana amp or my pedal board, run that program, get that done, quit out of there, and go play a video game while things are still going on in the background. And I'm seeing very little loss in performance whatsoever. So this thing can really crunch out the horsepower for doing things that you need to get done. So, there you have it. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.